Farscape engineer summary video. Here we are in East Orange, we're on Park Ave. We're looking at this farscape that needs, we just finished doing a full inspection with photographs. The summary video is going to cover everything that is the issue with this farscape. First of all, we have an existing farscape that we're looking for evidence of maintenance. We've got nothing but original hardware throughout the farscape on the bolted connections. But we do have evidence of maintenance in that below all this diamond plate and below all of this stairs, it's new diamond plate stairs and new diamond plate platforms on top of pre-existing steel plate platforms. So the plates stayed and they just put this over it. All the treads are new diamond plate, but they stayed over existing clips. So we're going to cover all that in a second. But let's start right here. First of all, if you can zoom in, original, the ladder's not properly attached at the top. One side that doesn't have just has a little nail or something over there. So this looks like a roof hatch access. Needs to be dealt with. Original hardware here, as you can see. I can move the bolt with my finger. So we need, whenever you have original hardware, you gotta reinforce it or just swap it out. So swap out all these bolts. These need to be confirmed that they're tight to the building and create a little pull test on this, but otherwise you can put a new clip on top and just reattach and leave these existing, seal them up with silicone. Original hardware on the ground. Once you've confirmed and certified the connections, seal it up with silicone. Along the whole wall, see all this debris down here? Look at all this debris. This debris is what's rotting out the fire escape. So as soon as you clean that all out, power wash it, and you wash and you clean it, silicone shut all of this because snow and ice is getting in there. But more importantly, when there's a ice thaw or ice freeze, it's gonna call what's called either rust jacking or ice jacking, and that's gonna cause this fire escape to pull off and pull away from the building. Another thing too is that this is causing rusting because water it stays moist. So as soon as they seal this whole area up, all this needs to be sealed. Because one of the other critical things that they put here is ice, salt to de-ice this fire escape. And that's one of the major causes of how much of rust has happened on this fire escape. The other thing too, see these joints? These joints should be all sealed because this is another source of water that gets down into the fire escape down below and rots it out. So, but again, all original hardware. So all these original hardware. So I want all the posts to be swapped out here, but these bars, these rivets don't have to be. These are good. They're just going to be tested. They all look good, but I don't want these to be swapped out because these rivets are not critical, major structural, they're minor. But these corners, I need these swapped out. I need this one swapped out. A couple things. This bar over here needs to be removed because should it slip out, it's going to fall down and hurt somebody. There's a lot of these knuckles here that you want to come on the outside and look that have built up rust, and they're actually eating the steel, but there's rust buildup. So you got to clean these out, seal them, change the bolts out here on all the major structural. Seal these joints all around. We got a lot of cement issues in all of them. This is all spalling and cracking. This is, every one of these cements needs to be repacked, and in some cases repack it and put a new clip up here, which is better so that we can stop getting any water in that area. All right, so the platforms, the ladder now going down, as you can see, every one of these has been welded. Probably 15 years ago, every one of these got a weld. Full line weld, probably 6 inches long, every weld on either side. So the main concern is that to do an x-ray on every one of these welds is very expensive, but it has clips underneath. So we just need to make sure that all the clips underneath are backing up these welds, and then I won't be worried about any of these welds. So none of these welds are showing failure at the moment, but there's no way to verify without an x-ray. But the clips underneath, should they be done, the clips underneath, which is all the clips are there, rebolted, we don't need to worry about the weld. But in the meantime, I want all these sealed with silicone after, because this is where you throw the salt is getting in there and they're eating up all these welds. Okay, going down, rails on these sides. These rails are notorious for capturing water and dirt, so get these all sealed up. Once you clean these out, just seal them up so that the water and the rust doesn't get in there and eat the seat channel and the rail. All these rails are The bars are good, but at the top of it, you want to change those bolts out at the top and the bottom. And look below, Mr. Inspector Police. You know the clip.
Yeah, all the connections need to be
right on the corners.
Changed and reinforced.
And then at the bottom, where it ties in at the bottom there, but not these bars. These bars are all good, and that they're minor structural. Okay, come on down. Again, the cement issues into the wall. All these need to be repacked, standard on all floors. Again, try to remove these knuckles because these knuckles are eating the steel. And if you look on the outside, you start seeing that this reinforcement T-bar has got some rust in it. So look up on that. And any place that has rust should be silicone shut and closed. So let's use this as an example on this side. We can get into that corner right there. From my side, please. See all that rust in there and all that dirt and debris? You got to clean all that out, and then you got to fill it with silicone so that in the future the water gets out of there. Create some weep holes so that the water and the dirt doesn't accumulate there, because that's what rots out these pieces for future maintenance. So, and this whole corner needs to be rebolted, but not the bars. The bars are fine as long as if the rivet is gone, just change one rivet. But corners, posts need to be done. There's a lot of patching with diamond plate. The diamond plate is fine, but again, seal all the joints along the whole building because it's going to stop water and dirt and ice jacking and rust jacking from occurring. Even all these plates, you should seal all these plates. After we clean them and prime them, you should seal this with 50 of silicone so that the water doesn't get underneath these plates because it's already starting. You can already see the rust is going to eat these plates that are brand new on top of old plates. And this is what happens if you don't clean. See, this is brand new diamond plate, but it's already being eaten. Okay? And these areas all need to be cleaned out. So any major structural, this is all major structural areas. Rebolt. Rebolt. In lieu of a load test, you got to rebolt the fire escape. Okay? So let's continue. Now let's look underneath here. This is typical. We've got some areas that have, this is an example. See the rust? See the bolt? It's welded up above, but as soon as we put bolts back in here, then I'm not going to have to verify the welds from up above because it's got clips on all floors. So all these clips have to be cleaned and then just put back with a bolt, and that way it'll reinforce the weld from up above, and I don't need to verify the welds from above, which look good and they look in pretty good condition. Again, a lot of cement in the walls. You know, some of the major areas that we always have problems is the ice jacking. So if you look straight up, you see what happens if the debris gets back there. Freeze and thaw will keep eating the back of this sea channel. Yet if you seal it from above, like we're doing right now, if you seal this entire wall, not only does the snow and ice not get back in there, but the salt that we throw down when you're shoveling this, the salt you're throwing down is eating this steel. Okay? These welded corners and welded connections, you need to bolt them. I can't have a weld on a corner. Rebolt these corners here. Re-cement the pieces there. And whenever there's a reinforcement of any kind that has original hardware, I only have two choices. I can load test it, or I can just change the bolt in lieu of a load test. I'll change these bolts out because this is all original square head bolts on this, so change those out. Change these out. Okay, and then just clean up the areas. I think this thing needs a good power washing, and then you need to seal. In some cases, you're going to get corners like this, and silicone might not be the answer. You might want to use a blob of tar, black tar in there. But actually, because the fire escape is green, you probably have to use clear silicone, and then you're going to have to either paint it or get a silicone that's a latex silicone that's a color that matches this fire escape. That's only 35 year. Okay? And as you go underneath, you're going to see there's been some repair, and some clips like that one up there needs to be changed out. You can't use broken, bad clips. And you have to remove 100% of the rust. So I just don't want to change the bolts out. 100% of the rust must be clean. So the clip has got to look like this one and that one, just nice and clean. You know, so that one up there, I need a new clip there, and then it needs to be rebolted. All right, so no, rust cannot stay. And that way it'll nullify the need for the load test on the welds and or an x-ray to the welds. This is another bad area. If you can get in there and see that, you see that? See how much rust is in there? All that needs to be cleaned out. This whole area needs to be rebuilt and reinforced as necessary. And if you come on this side, you can see just how bad it is from the outside here, Inspector Elise. See how much work there? So this is not just rebuilt. This area needs to be reinforced a little bit, a little sistering of some additional steel because it ate too much. It's probably, this looks like it's 3/8 thick, and you've probably eaten at least 30 to 40% of the integrity of the steel, so that's not acceptable. See that corner right there too? See that cement? And it's blowing out that chunk of steel? That's what happens when you get rust jacking and ice jacking working together. So it's a combination of water and freeze and thaw, and it's a combination of rust blowing that corner out. So once we fix that corner, a mason's got to come in here and just patch up that corner in the spring. But this area needs to be repacked and rebuilt. Okay? And you can see from here the evidence of the old bracket. See, a lot of times they fix it, but they don't clean it out. See, this is the old metal, and then above it is the diamond plate that they put there. See it? So these areas need to be all cleaned up because if you don't remove the rust keeps eating the steel below. So we got to clean out all these joints that were band-aided, but they were never fully cleaned. So I need that whole thing cleaned up. Look at all the material working its way back here. See? It's all material that if you seal it from above, and again, I can't stress enough, you got to seal this whole thing. We'll probably have them power wash the fire escape first to get all this debris off of it first, and then that way the repairs can be done correctly. See this right here? All that needs to be repacked and repaired. Some of the steel is no longer into the building, meaning we're going to have to make a clip. So that area might be repacked. It is a very old building. And once again, all these, see, look at all the rust that's starting to eat this. This is from waters and salt during the snow. If you don't seal this up after we clean this, so this is going to get wire brushed, primed, sealed with silicone, then painted. Okay? As we go down, it gets worse. You know, the steel is a lot more eaten. This right here is a great example of just what we need. Look, see the bolt? The bolt and the nut here? Look at my finger. Nothing in there. See it? There's nothing there. And look on the other side. There's the head. So come down and look at this way.
Yep, that's it.
Okay? So all of these need to be rebolted everywhere. Okay? Look at all the rust in here. Okay? And then when you do this, you gotta, it's highly recommended that you silicone shut these rails. All right, so again, the diamond plate is fine. You got a lot of cement work. A lot of cement work on this building just to patch this up because that's either through rust or freeze and thaw. It's going to keep popping that. It's going to pop the outside in a relatively short period of time. Look at all the rust up there. So we got to seal these. Down here we got to seal these so the water's not getting down. Seal these corners. Okay? See all this rust inside here? That's all got to get cleaned out. Okay? Same situation. So let's keep going down. Some of these threads are going to start showing more rust jacking. See? Look at the rust jacking on that one. Okay? So there's a lot of rust jacking going on underneath. But as soon as these clips all get rebuilt, then the weld's up above. And look at this. See what happens with these temporary band-aids? And the water gets in there. See the rusty tears? That pops all these temporary welds, and that's exactly what we don't want happening here. All right, let's go down. Same scenario on this. Again, rust buildup. These corners need to be rebuilt and then sealed from weather. That whole corner shot. See how much rust is just in there, and there's band-aids and weld clips, band-aids and everything? Look underneath here, you can get a great shot of that too. So once we clean this out, you want to get this all sealed with silicone. See underneath here, Inspector Elise? See all that? Got it? Yes. And this is even worse. Look at how much is up above. So that's why they put all new diamond plate. So the diamond plate is over this, but nobody came in and dealt with the remaining rust that's below, which is still eating the steel. Okay, so all this needs to be dealt with. Another cement situation on this corner. On that corner right there. Another cement situation. we're starting to get down to the worst part of the fire escape. Now, if you come in here and you see this side, they used to have all those cement knuckles, all those cast iron knuckles used to lift furniture. Some of them were here and they got rusted and they actually ate the steel. So this piece of steel needs to be reinforced. But look, the nut is gone, the head is here, and this is down to 1/8 thick steel. This used to be 3/8, now it's down to 1/8 on where I have my fingers. And if you go up to the other side and you look at it from the other side, you can see all the steel that's missing from the other side. See? Thick, and then it gets thin. Thick, and look at it, thick, and then it gets thin. Okay? So that all needs to be reinforced accordingly. As we start getting down below, we start seeing the same problem. Again, more ice, more snow, probably more snow gets on this side for some reason, but there's a lot of band-aiding and patching. So all these band-aids need to be cleaned, primed, and then they need to be sealed because these are all welded connections, and we need to verify and secure these welded connections from future intrusion of water, which wasn't done. So rust is eating all these welds that I have here. Some of these are going to have to be backed up with a bolt. So the weld is going to stay, but you're going to back up some of these with a bolt, and it's going to have to be a round carriage head, and that round carriage head is going to be basically your tie, but it's basically going to nullify the need for me to x-ray some of these welds. So just use bolt to back up a lot of these things. And then whenever possible, clean out all this debris, and whenever possible, and it's an area that the feet are not going to be there, use tar. Get a blob of tar in there, and that'll stop water and debris from getting in there and rotting out this fire escape. Seal up all the joints again. I can't stress enough that you got to seal these joints because look at all the debris again. Look at all the leaves and the matter. All that stuff stays wet and it eats your steel, and it's only a matter of time before now you have to replace the fire escape. So this fire escape's still got plenty of life left in it. But look at see how much water and the ice? Look what the water and ice does, and the salt. It's eating your steel. And I believe it was here that we had a piece that it ate all the way through. We have a photograph, but you can see. So we got to change, otherwise if it eats through, then you got a bigger problem with the C-channel. Again, once you fix it, you got to remove some of this rust out of there, which was left behind by the previous guy. So there is evidence of maintenance, but it's all welded maintenance. Platforms only. You got to repack all these cements right away. Okay. And it's basically another pattern of hold. Now the worst part of this fire escape is going to be this lower platform, which is totally eaten. And we're going to show just exactly what's going on underneath. We're going to come down here, but again, close-up view of the cement growth. Close-up view of this is a good corner for us to just really focus on. Look at all the rust. This has all got to be cleaned out. New bolts. This might need to be reinforced if the metal is eaten too thin. Then it needs to be all sealed. Change all the bolts. I don't want to see any original hardware, any square head bolts still left on a connection that is a structural connection. That has to be changed. That has to be changed. This does not have to be changed because this is minor structural. This is major structural. This is major structural. So it needs to be cleaned of any rust, and it needs to be rebolted, and then you need to seal it, and then you need to seal all of this. So a lot of this stuff, it'll stop it from rusting if you just seal it. It has to be sealed. Look at all the bottoms here. They're all rotten. So repack the cement. I think we have another issue on this corner too, Major. And this is what happens if you don't clean. See, it's already eating through my C-channel here, and it already popped my bolts. And if it's welded on the other sides, the welds are not good. You have to rebolt it and then seal it. Seal this all with silicone. Otherwise, see all this rust? It's got to clean out all the rust and then seal it, rebolt it, then seal it. So remove the rust. And if you look over here, I think it's here that you start seeing just how much rust jacking is occurring. Okay. Look at, you can see it here. But let's go downstairs. This staircase down here is probably the worst staircase of it all. The feet are not properly attached. Tons of band-aids that were thrown in here with welds. Tons. All unverified, so this whole staircase needs to be reinforced. You've got this happening here with it just ate all the steel. See it? We've got all kinds of rust into the connections. missing bolts. So I don't want any rivets on this fire escape. These rivets got to all come out, new bolts, and the rust must be cleaned on the other side. Because this is what I'm finding here and there. But this is probably the worst staircase. And you can see the most rust buildup. See? This happens because of salt, water, and air. Okay? Look at that one. It's already eaten through. Okay? So, and it keeps getting worse. To the point that, look at underneath here now. Look at this general area. All rotted. All rotted all the way down to the other end. And they just put a piece of diamond plate over it. And then on the other side, all rotted, including the base C channel. All rotted through. Looked all the way down to the end. See it?
Yeah.
So this area is, this is an emergency situation right here, in that they have to close off this bottom. And then if you start looking up again, you see the traditional stuff, you know. They just put stuff over it, but they never removed 100% of the steel. Or reinforce it and seal this.
No sealing at all.
You know, no. So the rust kept eating the very steel that they covered. But that's an easy fix. This is not something that's bad, so that you know you have to take anything off. But here's a perfect example of this situation here, where there was a band they put here. See right here. So there's no reinforcement underneath here. There's a diamond plate up above. They didn't clean us out all this rotten steel and then seal it from future corrosion. And here's another corner. And that channel, look how thin that channel is. Okay, so all these corners need to be rebuilt. And so no original hardware. Otherwise, there's going to be a load test ordered on this, and I would not perform a load test on this fire escape. It's very old. It's 50 to 75 years old. And in the present condition, the load test is not something I would order because it would fail the load test. And it needs, I'd say, 50 to 75% of the structure is in need of refurbishment, minimally. And it's due for, minimally it's due for a spot paint job. But if they spot paint all their repairs, you know, this fire escape will pass on the paint job side. So spot paint. But I highly recommend that after sealing it, get a full paint, even if you do it in the spring. But structurally, I've got problems with all the connections. I got problems with all the cement. And if you want to show that up. So.
And the first floor should be shut down.
Well, it's actually the basement. Going into the basement should be
yes.
temporarily shut down until further notice. And that is just, we do have Solomon here, correct? The super. He's here, so we're going to tell him, you never need caution tape in the building?
Yeah.
So I would put caution tape across that door on the inside and put a notice saying don't use the fire escape unless it's an emergency. So it's not, I can't, it's in a state of emergency, but will it collapse today? I can't tell you, but it might. But you put caution tape in the inside of that door plus a sign, and then you put a piece of caution tape there and you put a piece of caution tape here, and you know, this is where everybody's sort of going to come out. So I would put caution tape across here because this seems to be the area of concern. And because of the trash and all these things, you're going to have to, you know, I'm trying to think what's the best thing that you can do here. Short of, you can do some emergency repair, but it would mean somebody can come in here and use this platform, you know, with a wood structure out to here or a steel structure out to here, and then step on this, and then they step out. But you know, it's really, we'll discuss that with the owner of the building, what some of the options. But I would put some caution tape up, and I would put, you know, signage on their door saying, please don't use the fire escape until emergency repairs are done. And then full repairs need to be ordered, you know, to have this done. But we've identified, do you have any questions? Because you heard us speaking, so do you have any questions on any of the?
The only problem I got right now is someone live over there.
Yeah. Well, you just work that out with them. You know, say that if they have to come in through the front for a while until this
They
matters.
have no entrance in front. This is the only entrance.
Okay. Is there a second exit out of that?
No, it's the only entrance in and out.
In and out. Okay. very good. All right. So the rest of it is been spoken. If there's any questions, you know, you can start seeing where some of the steel is eaten through. So the seat channels are starting to get affected by so much rust. The steel is getting affected by so much rust. So there's going to be some sistering here and there just to make this thing reinforced correctly. But otherwise, it's just a general cleaning and a refurbishment of all the original hardware. And basically, the entire fire escape still has all its original hardware, other than the fact that they put diamond plate on top of the platforms, but kept the original steel, and they put diamond plate on top of all the treads, but kept the original clips. But then on the original clips, they kept all the original rivets, and they just welded 100% of every weld has been welded of the treads. But the problem is they've been putting water and salt over this forever. So the clips now need to be rebuilt underneath. And by rebuilding these clips underneath and rebolting them, that's going to guarantee the weld up above. But I still recommend that these get sealed with silicone for future water and salt that's going to get thrown on these every year. Inspector Meneses with Inspector Valise. Any questions? 800-649-3333. And any vendors that are looking for any bid documentation, give us a call at the number that I just quote. But it's 800-649-3333. Any and all bids to the owner. Thank you. Okay, close it up. Services. We provide inspections and certifications, repairs, and load tests to remove violations in your area and nationwide. So whether you're an inspector or whether you're somebody, you have your own home, you have your own building, the first thing is the law is very clear. It must be structurally sound and must be kept painted. So is the fire escape painted or is it not painted? And does it have more paint than rust or more rust than paint? So I can just look at this fire escape and say that I have evidence right now that there's more rust than paint on this fire escape. So immediately, if you were to call an inspector out here, the law doesn't allow him to pass this fire escape simply because it has more rust than paint. And structural means that if the fire escape is 50 to 75 years old, when any inspector is looking at it, he's got to see some evidence of maintenance. And maintenance means that I have to see a change in bolts, I have to see a change in rivets, I have to see some new hardware. Because when I go up to a fire escape, I see nothing but original hardware. That hardware is 50 to 75 years old. It's been out in the weather 50 to 75 years, and it's just impossible for not one of those rivets, one of those bolts to be changed in 50 to 75 years. And whenever that occurs, what I have is a fire escape that somebody's been constantly painting, but they've never done anything structurally to it. So now that makes the entire fire escape pretty much suspect. So now I have to be careful as to what I'm looking at to make sure that the structural now, on especially the major structural connections, are in good order. Thank you for watching our video. Please call us today at 800-649-3333 to discuss your fire escape issue with a live inspector or schedule an inspection in your area today.
The smoke, the flames, and the frightened faces, all in a firefighter's line of duty. But Chief William Hitchcock remembers the night it wasn't the fire that almost stopped him,
Oh, I was scared to death.
but the fire escape that broke underneath him.
Where the railing just came away from the building.
And our investigation found across Massachusetts more unsafe fire escapes, rusty, deteriorating, crumbling, broken. And what state officials didn't know, the system they set up to keep fire escapes safe is also falling apart.
The potential ramifications are disastrous.
So let's look at this one. This expert ironworker is licensed to build, maintain, and inspect fire escapes.
So then over here,
For months, we examined dozens of them with alarming results.
looking at this today, would this pass inspection?
No.
In dormitories, at theaters, at homes, and apartment buildings.
Rust is actually eating away the metal of the
Correct.
fire escape.
Correct.
And the bottom line?
It'll get weak and then eventually it'll fall.
This one has rotted connections. This one missing bolts, twisted metal.
Would the stairs come down?
No, never come down.
This one a broken tread.
So how dangerous is it for the people inside this building?
This fire escape is definitely going to put somebody either in the hospital or it's going to put somebody in a cemetery.
Fire escapes are so critical. The state building code requires they be certified for structural adequacy and safety every 5 years. But our investigation found that safeguard is simply being ignored. Here's proof. We chose fire escapes at random in Boston, Somerville, Cambridge, Worcester, and here in Quincy. We checked building department files
But there's no fire escape certification.
Not in this file.
to see if building owners had submitted their mandatory inspection reports.
There's no certification in this one either.
Right.
Bottom line, not one we checked in Quincy had been certified as safe. And the director of inspectional services admitted because of staffing shortages, the city has no idea how many other fire escape owners are breaking the rules.
And as a result, do you know how many fire escapes in your city are safe or not?
Well, I don't know.
In Worcester, not one we checked was certified. In Somerville,
No.
4 more fire escapes,
Did it fall through the cracks? Yeah.
not one up-to-date certification. And again, no system for keeping track.
How can they get away with that?
I guess that the shortest answer of all is because we don't have the resources to sit here and follow up on these things.
If structural deficiencies are reported, local building inspectors can actually evacuate residents until repairs are made.
Would you talk to us on camera about this? No?
But when we surveyed 24 more communities, most admitted they had no idea how many fire escapes were certified. In Taunton, inspectors told us they haven't seen a certification in 25 years. Northampton officials said it's a cold day in hell when that happens. In Cambridge, too, not one of our test buildings was certified, and the official in charge would not come out to discuss it. In Boston, where there are more than 8,000 fire escapes, Again, according to inspectional services, not one we checked was certified. Officials know they are required to enforce the building code, but they admit they don't always know if owners are breaking the law.
The building code is being ignored.
Right, but it's difficult to write a violation when you don't have knowledge of something like that.
But state officials say for a critical issue like this, communities should know. And they warn the Massachusetts building code is not optional.
Does it worry you that these fire escapes are not being certified?
This is an important issue and should not be ignored.
That's because after the smoke and flames begin, it'll be too late to learn you've got no way out.
I can't stress it enough, Hank, that these things have to be maintained and someone's got to be watching.
As a result of our investigation, state officials will now issue an alert to local inspectors. Meanwhile, if there's a fire escape on your home or office, you can contact your local building department to make sure it's properly certified. In the newsroom, I'm Hank Philippi Ryan.